Well, hello everybody, it's Shawn Petite for Donna Downey, and I am here for the last week of my curator posts, and today we're doing easy encaustic, and it's a lot easier than you think, and you need a lot fewer things than you think. So today I want to just share with you my process for using encaustic. So you will need a hot plate, which I grabbed from my cupboard that I wasn't using. You won't use it again for food. You'll need some tins to hold your material, a thermometer to keep an eye on the temperature to make sure that you're keeping it at 200 degrees. You'll need your medium. You'll need regular, clear medium, and then you'll need a white, which comes in a bar, and then you'll need some brush cleaner. And I use bristle brushes, not synthetic, because synthetic will melt. I use some mark making tools. I will use some oil pastels to help with some fun techniques at the end. So let's get started. So I'm working on 6x8 MDF board, and right now I'm putting down gesso, and I'm using my pan pastels, this is just the funnest technique ever, because it creates this chalky, unexpected kind of finish that I can't get any other way unless I'm combining gesso and pan pastels. And I'm using a raw umber color with my gesso, and I really want this to be kind of ethereal and loose, and something that's going to work really well with my encaustic medium. And I just use the white and the clear encaustic. That's all I use. I'm not a professional encaustic painter by any means, but I do love the effects that I can get. And I love the white encaustic as well, because it adds just a little bit of finishing touch and sits right on top of that wax and just works really well with it. So now that we've got our backgrounds down, I'm using just a bunch of vintage papers to create some interest and some grunginess and just some unexpected things in my piece. And I'm using pattern paper, book pages, all kinds of fun vintage things. Putting everything down with golden gel medium, and the reason I'm doing that is for this application I don't want a whole lot of buckling in my paper, and that heavier gel medium will work really well to keep everything down and as flat as possible. It will create some bumps here and there, and that's okay. I love that. So I'm working with high flow acrylics, again getting that watery, ethereal kind of feel, just adding some color and building up my background. I'm using Donna Downey's Small Pods stencil with gesso to give it again some unexpected texture and elements in that background. I'm also using Donna Downey's script stencil. I don't know the exact name of it, but everything, all of the supplies and everything will be listed on Donna Downey's blog. And now I'm adding to that script stencil with my fine line applicator, which has fluid acrylic, water, and airbrush medium in it, and I use white and black, and I use these all the time. And now again I'm just building up that background. And I know that I'm creating somewhat of a landscape on these three pieces, an abstract landscape. And so I'm sticking with earthy colors, neutral colors, and all of the background colors. Everything is high flow acrylics. Now I'm using my tree stencil to give that landscape effect, put a little tree in there, really subtle. And I started out with just raw umber, and I realized that I wanted to go a little bit darker, so I added a little bit of Prussian blue, which gave it this really kind of shadowy midnight kind of effect, and I loved it. I'm adding a tiny bit of cerulean blue hue in the high flow, just to kind of resemble some sky. And again, this is very loose and abstract, and some teal at the bottom for more of like a grassier look. Now I'm adding some sepia, which is going to grunge it up and give it that mystery and depth. And I'm just adding water and to all of my high flows for that watery kind of watercolor effect. And I love using high flows instead of watercolor because it's permanent and I can just continue to layer and layer and layer. And now I'm just adding some gesso to kind of give it a real kind of muddled, shadowy effect. I don't want to do too much because the encaustic is going to do that too, but I wanted to have a little bit more control as to some of the shadows and the lights and the darks. So that's why I'm adding some gesso. Just a little bit more script. It's just all those layers and all that unexpected goodness. Just continuing to create the background and layers. Now we're ready for our encaustic. So everything's heated up and ready to go. And I'm just laying my first layer down. It's just this simple. I use a heat tool to fuse the layers together, to even everything out, to smooth everything out. And this first one, I put a little bit too much encaustic on for my liking. After I did this second layer, it was like, it's a little too much, a little too cloudy. So I just went back in with a credit card, and that's the wonderful thing about encaustic. It's you can't make a mistake. And so I just scraped it off, heat it up, scrape it off, heat it up, scrape it off until it works. And I heated that up again, I fused it, and we're going to do the same process again with each piece. And I keep my brushes on my hot plate because it keeps them warm and flexible. Now I'm using mark making tools. I'm using a screwdriver. That's what I love. There are a lot of different tools that you could use, but that's what I use. And I'm just making marks and scripts and different things like that in the wax. It's still a little bit warm. And now I'm taking my oil pastel and going over all of those marks that I just made. And this, I'm working in black. And I've got a little cup of vegetable oil, and it helps really kind of smooth out that oil pastel, get it into all the grooves, and makes it easy to wipe off. Now we've moved on to the second piece, and I'm just repeating the process, and I'll do the same thing for each one. And there you have it, my friends. It's that easy. It's that easy. Now we're just going to add the last little kiss of love for these pieces, and that's the white encaustic. And I like to just make it scratchy and scribbly and drop some drops. And the great thing is because of the depth of the wax, there's this space in between where that white encaustic medium will sit. It sits on top, and it's just, the depth of it is just fabulous. I hope you have enjoyed today's video, and I hope that you give encaustic a try. And it's just super easy, and you don't have to have a ton of materials. It's not that expensive, so give it a try, have fun, experiment, and play. Thank you for watching all of my videos for this month of July, and if you like the videos, give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Have a wonderful day.